Chapter 2. I had met her the day before at the Coconut Bar and Pineapple Restaurant in a traditional Portuguese-style building. A local band was playing Beatles song. Goa was teeming with Christmas visitors and all the tables were occupied. I was sitting on one chair with my feet up on another. I had just sent Cheering an email telling him I was on the looking out for a girl. I feel sorry for them, whoever they might be, Cheering replied. I told him to come to the chat room after that evening. The band was playing Norwegian wood at my request. I was enjoying its fusion of Eastern and Western style. I thought about Ravi Shankar and the fact that George Harrison had loaned sitar from him. A waiter stood nearby with his eye on my laptop. He looked at it every time he passed, probably hoping I'd connect to some porn site. I just ignored him. He poured more of the local drink, Fenny, into my glass. As I raised it, out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of a shadow moving among the shadows of the coconut trees cast by the moon on the white walls of the restaurant. Someone was coming towards me. "Excuse me," a young woman said, waving her hand to catch my attention. "Can I take this chair?" She pointed to the chair on which I was resting my feet. It was my last night in Goa. I was going to Kerala for the New Year. The girl was wearing blue jeans and a V-neck shirt printed with scene of a Goan sunset. That day, as I had walked barefoot over the dry sand of Anjuna beach, the cool waves had lapped around my ankle, refreshing me. It was as if a wave had brought her to me. I could see the girl's dangling earrings shining. Her long hair was like the waves of the ocean. This girl will be my girl, I thought. "What if I don't want to give you the chair?" I asked, testing her. She raised her dark, beautiful eyebrows. Her eyes were large and clear, the eyes of a dreamer. "Sorry," she said, pretending not to have understood. I took another sip of Feni. Just then the waiter brought me my rice and fish. We Nepalese can't do without rice, no matter where we are. Should I eat with my hands? I wondered. I decided not to. The girl still stood there, waiting for my reply. "I'm sorry to keep you waiting," I said as I raised my fork. "So I can take it," she said. I looked at her cleavage as she bent forward to lift the chair. I made my move. "I'd rather you join me," I said. "I wasn't asking to share a table," she said. Her voice was deep and dripping with honey. Her eyes seemed to beckon me. Who would pass up this opportunity? "You can see the band better from here," I said. "But you can hear them better from there," she replied. I realized this would be a challenge. "Can I join your table then?" I asked. "Our table is already crowded." I made myself clear. "I would like to talk to you." "I'm busy," she said. "I've got a good reason to talk to you," I said. "What reason would that be?" "I don't know you, but I know you." "Oh, come on. We have just met." I looked into her enticing eyes. "In fact, we met a few hours ago." "What are you talking about?" she said. I asked. "What were you reading today on Anjuna Beach?" "An art book." "Ah," I said. So I wrote that book," I said. "It's about my paintings." Her eyes widened. "That can't be true." "You don't believe me?" "I don't know how I could prove or disprove it," she said. "The book doesn't have the author's photo on the cover. Check the name." "But the author is Nepali." "Do I look like a Western to you?" I asked in Nepali. Startled, she took a step back. I looked into her eyes again to better gauge her reaction. I was drawn to her like a bee to nectar. "Who?" she said, finally interested. Wow. She looked at my face closely, examining every feature. I hope you will join me now, I said. I would like to hear your thoughts on my book. Like an obedient student, she sat on the chair she had earlier wanted to take. Namaste, she said, pressing her palms together. I reached over and shook her soft hand. She was biting her lip. I could tell she was nervous. The shadow her body cast against the wall moved rhythmically with the music, tempting and erotic. It reminded me of a charcoal sketch come to life. All the time I was looking at her shadow, the girl was examining me closely. Did she think I was good looking? I wondered. My name is PALPASA, she said. Hi, I said and offered my hand again. I have just graduated from college in the States. I am hoping to be a documentary filmmaker. Nice to meet a fellow artist, I said. I'd like to introduce you to my friends, she said, starting to get up. Starting to get up. No, I said, please don't introduce me to anyone. She sat down again. But you just introduced yourself to me, she said. You are different. I really like your paintings, she said. They are simple, but your style is totally original. I'm impressed, I said. Can you imagine how an artist might feel seeing a girl, obviously from overseas, lying on a beach in a swimsuit, engrossed in his book? How did it feel? Why reveal my true feelings? I thought. I'm still trying to decide. This is the first time I have had an experience like this, she said. Like what? That's the first time I ever met a writer whose book I have read. I asked, when you read a book, do you imagine the author? Of course. And with art books, I picture the artist. But the way I picture him or her changes with each page, with each work I look at. With each painting, I get more curious about what the artist might be like. So, how did you picture me? Middle-aged, she confessed, wearing a hat, smoking a pipe, carrying a guitar, and humming with the wind. A romantic figure, in other words. And I haven't changed my opinion, she went on. Though you do look better younger than I had imagined. But still old, I said, trying to prolong our conversation. The waiter came back, intent on invading our privacy. I would have liked to pull a few hairs out of his goatee. Did I say that? I just meant you look too young to have created such mature work, Palpasa said. Thank you, I said. No one has ever said that to me before. You are just saying that to flatter me. No, it's you who is flattering me. You don't look like someone who'd care what other people think, she said. That's where you are wrong, I said. Artists care very much, especially when they find someone who appreciates their work as you do. I'm just an ordinary person who happens to love art, she said. Though my friends might disagree. They say that when I find something that interests me, I get impassioned about it. I almost become obsessive, but I think of myself as an uncomplicated person with simple tastes. This is the first time I have ever wanted to introduce myself to anyone who has read my book, I said, trying to impress on her the uniqueness of the occasion. In fact, she said, I lead such a simple life. I sometimes wonder why I didn't become a nun. Maybe I'll end up in a nunnery sometime. Unhappy with the turn the conversation was taking, I said, it's better to lead an active life out in the world. I want to understand things, she said, to seek knowledge. I want to know myself. If documentary filmmaking doesn't satisfy me, I'll become a nun and seek inner knowledge. Wouldn't a church like that constitute an active life? Wishing she would stop this nonsense, I said. This is the first time I have ever met anyone who wants to be a nun. I really like your paintings, she said. What do you see in them? I said. The dreams and desires of the people you paint. How do you choose your subjects? Just the way I meet you. Oh, I could never be a subject for one of your painting. Who said I wanted you to be? Nobody, she said. But the impressions you have given me, even in this short meeting, could be the basis for some future work. This is impossible, she said. What's impossible? Talking to artists? So you have talked to many? She laughed. I mean, talking to an artist. She stretched then and seemed to open up for the first time. Her arms looked soft and her fingers playful. By then, the band had performed several Beatles numbers. I had sent a request for 2 songs written on a napkin, and Strawberry Fields Forever was yet to be played. The night was passing with the sound of the waves. I wanted to be in the bed by midnight. I had to be at the train station by noon. I ate my dinner while she sat there. Just as I finished, I heard the first note of Strawberry Fields Forever. Isn't it late for you? I asked. My friends keep looking over here, she said. They obviously want to go. How long are you staying in Goa? I asked. A few more days, she said. And you? I leave for Kerala tomorrow. Oh, she raised her eyebrows. Artists must lead such free lives. You have to be free to express yourself freely, I said. Are you preparing another series of paintings? Will you include them in a new book? I don't believe in preparing too much. I want to meet people. And when I find inspiration, I pick up my brush. That's why your work seems so romantic. How many pages of my book have you read? I asked. The whole thing, more than once, in fact. Really? Yes, I don't get tired of it. Every time I look at it, I find something new. I have got 10 other books with me, but none of them interest me as much as your book. That's wonderful. Make sure your next book's just as good, she said seriously. Your paintings in this book are really evocative. Can I tell you something? I identify with the female figure in the painting Rain. I feel that figure is me. It might sound strange, but the more I look at the painting, the more I see myself. It seems to capture my deepest feelings. I look at her inquisitively. Maybe everyone feels the same. She went up. But your paintings have made a big impression on me. Photography has limitations. Painting are more complex and more interesting because the viewer's imagination is an essential and integral part of the world. The true depth of the painting lies in the mind of the viewer. You are right, I said. I feel encouraged when I meet someone who understands things that way you do. Well, you are an inspiration to me, she said. With your understanding of art, I'm sure you will be a good filmmaker, I said. She lit up. Finally, I found someone who believes in me. No one, and that includes my friends and family, understands me. They just want me to marry and settle down in a state. You have to make your own decisions, I said. I'm still thinking about it. If you do intend to the creative work, I said, I will. It would be better to be in the East than the West. The West were advanced, of course, but it's running out of stories. Here in the East, there is a much wider gap between problems, social, cultural, and natural, and their solutions. The gap fuels creativity. We have more space to work. You know, we really think alike, she said. Could we meet again in Kathmandu? I don't know when I'll be back, I said. But you must have a contact address. I am a traveler. I never stay in one place alone. I lied. She laughed. Your permanent address is in the heart of your readers. A man came up to Palpasa. I could tell from his appearance he was also Nepali. He looked angry, or maybe I just thought he was. He said something to Palpasa, then abruptly took her arm and led her back to the table where her friends were waiting. I didn't want to give her up. I got up and started to go over to their table, but before I could reach them, they stood up and left the restaurant. The band was still playing Strawberry Fields Forever as I left as well. It was past midnight. I walked behind Palpasa and her friends for a while. Finally, near a coconut tree, she turned and said, "Have a good trip to Kerala." I shook hands with her and said, "Having met you, I feel encouraged as an artist." I didn't look at her friends, especially not at the man who had ended our conversation so abruptly. As we shook hands, I brushed against her gently. She didn't seem to mind. Then I walked away, the perfume of her air still with me, all the way back to my hotel. I thought about her hair, her eyes, her voice, and the curves of her body. I cursed my bad luck for having had to let her go. Only the two of us knew about the gentle toss we had shared. In my hotel room, I didn't want to switch on the computer. Chilling was sure to ask if I had found a call. I stood by the window for a while. The ocean looked like a giant lump of coal, and the lights from ships like flickering embers. A foreign couple was walking along the beach, locked in an embrace. The sea was still noisy, its wave crashing against the shore. Someone downstairs was still smoking a cigar. I wanted to forget the disappointments of the day and start a new one afresh.